Reawaken to your immortal identity and discover life between life's wisdom. Presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
Peter Smith was president of the Michael Newton Institute for Life Between Lives from 2009 to 2019 and continues to guide the organization that has now expanded to 40 countries as a member of the board. He received the Peggy Newton Award in 2013 for outstanding service to the Institute and has taught for MNI across the USA, the UK, Europe, and Australasia. In 2013, Pete founded the Institute for Quantum Consciousness to blend spirituality with key principles of quantum physics. He has built a network of facilitators all around the world who take clients on journeys to show them their magnificence, transcend all therapeutic systems, and visit other realities and dimensions. His published works include Quantum Consciousness, Journey Through Other Realms, which was published in 2018 by LBL Publishing, and The Transcendence of Celeste Kelly, that was published in 2023 by AIA Publishing, his first novelization of a lifetime of consciousness work. Pete has also written over a dozen forewords for non-fiction books in the consciousness genre, writes regularly for some key publications, and is a sought-after speaker in his chosen field.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of Michael Newton Institute's My Story. You know, you have been seeing and listening to these wonderful souls sharing their stories with us. Today's episode, or if I may say today's edition, is a very, very special soul. Why is he so very special? Well, he's personally someone that I am deeply, deeply grateful to have connected with. I have memories of connecting with him in strange, mystic, virtual ways. And today, to be able to host him in this edition of My Story, for me personally, it's an honor. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to have all of you listen to Pete and Pete's story. Pete, a very, very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us here in My Story to share with us your story.
Thanks, Indrani, and it's wonderful to be here and talk to the people who are following us.
So, Pete, firstly, you must be having an absolute storehouse, a treasure trove of memories and learnings of your experience with Michael. I wanted to know if you would like to share possibly some anecdotes, something which can touch our hearts about Michael and you.
Well, when we first started to work together, Michael and I, of course, he was in the United States and I was in Australia. So there was lots of emails, and back in those days it was Skype calls. So this was about 2005, and we were helping him to build the Institute, and we'd come out of a difficult period, and a number of us volunteered, and I happened to have some organisational background that was helpful for him at the time. So I didn't get to meet him. We'd been working together for a year, and in 2006 I got to meet him in the United Kingdom, where we formed a training team to train the first ever training under the Newton Institute. And I remember meeting him for the first time, and he gave me this huge hug. And he said, thank you for all your help. And I'm saying, my help? I mean, you changed all of our lives. And that was really about the humility of the man. And he gave great hugs too, by the way. He's this big, gangly sort of man, and he'd wrap his arms around you and give you one of those hugs that is just real and authentic. But for me, when we get caught up in airports, it's usually a frustrating time. But when we'd finished that training and we'd all got to know each other, we had a new leadership and training team at the Newton Institute, and we all went back to Heathrow, and his flight was 10 hours later and mine was like 16 hours later. So I got to sit in the airport with Michael Newton for about 8 hours and his wife, and the stories they told and the things that happened. And we got a meal at the cafeteria, and Peggy was right there with me. She was never far away from any of us and from the work we were doing. And I'm in line and I said, I'm gonna buy your lunch. And she says, you can't buy our lunch. She says, you've come all this way as well, and we'll buy you lunch. And I said, Peggy, the man changed my life. Let me buy you guys lunch. And she relented. So yeah, that was one of my first and remains one of my strongest memories of Michael.
Peter, I'm very curious, and this comes from me personally. So we are those members of the MNI family who, and I speak for my batch, I say it so because I remember we had just finished training, and it was a matter of a few days after our training that Michael passed into light. And I still remember being in Maryland at that time. I remember sitting in a park, chanting and praying for his soul to, move into light. And freshly after the LBL sessions, it was so easy to just visualize while I was chanting that, he's going there. And whenever I listen to you, to Meng, Paul, people who have personally connected with Michael when he was here in his incarnation as Michael in this lifetime, in many ways we connect to him through souls like you. But what I would love to know is that you've been part of this beautiful organization, and you're guiding us so wonderfully. How do you sustain your connection? Do you feel it's changed now that you don't have him there in his physical form? And yet I always feel, especially when I do this kind of work, if I may call it work for him, and I always feel he's there with me. He's guiding me. He's like this. There's a veil, and he's just on the other side of the veil, literally showing me ways to take this forward. But that's how I connect with Michael, because I've never really met him in person. How is it different for you? Like, you've known him then, and you still know him now.
I have absolutely no doubt that his spirit is still with us. And as we know, Indrani, from the work that we do, when we cross over, we move into our limitlessness. And people have this very linear approach to existence. And I've had people say to me, well, a psychic told me that Michael Newton had reincarnated and he's a 5-year-old girl in Wisconsin. And I say, well, I find that interesting, but I feel he's still around the Institute and he's limitless, and time is an illusion anyway. So he's everywhere. And I think he's actually a very strong archetypal energy in the collective consciousness anyway. And I think that all of us whose lives he's touched through his books, through his teaching, through anything, I think there's a part of him that remains with us. And I feel that we can naturally tap into that to leverage his wisdom still. And I must admit, when I'm standing at a flip chart here in my rooms or whatever, and I'm writing away on our next project for MNI, and I might say, what do you think? And normally I'll get some sort of a little tidbit that will come through, and whether I'm leveraging his spirit, whether it's the piece of him that he left with me, whether it's something else again, it doesn't matter. But in my heart, I know that his spirit is still with us, guiding us.
Yes. Peter, I'm very curious. We know about your books. We know about all that you are sharing with humanity, this beautiful legacy that you're creating. But if I were to ask you, in your own eyes, who are you?
I'm pausing to reflect so that I can give you a very authentic answer, because I know I'm not Pete. Because Pete's a disguise. But I feel that I am an expanded consciousness who has come here to disguise as Pete to make a difference to the world in the best way I can. Now, that could be helping an elderly person across the street. It could be writing a book. It could be serving in our advisory council alongside you as part of MNI. Or it could be all of that and more. But I lost the limitations that I have of thinking that I was Pete. I lost that a long time ago. And now I have fun being Pete, and I enjoy being Pete. And he's okay, he's doing all right. But I'm not just Pete. I am Pete, but I am so much more. So for me, it's about all of us returning here in these times to make a difference to humanity and build a new consciousness. And I have a sneaking suspicion, and I have some inklings of this from time to time, that all of us got together on the other side before we came, Indrani. And we said, let's go down there and let's do this institute thing, and let's make a difference to humanity. Let's raise the bar on consciousness and bring the world with us. And Michael will be our catalyst for that, because he'll start us all off. We'll build on what he brought, and we'll make a difference to the world. So let's just go and do that. It sounds like fun.
I just want to say once again, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to more and more work together, more and more purpose together, more and more joyous fun together.
Absolutely, Indrani. I can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pete.
Okay.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.